Hey children, how's it going? I've got a really interesting little game with one position that as soon as I played it I thought that's really interesting and I think it would be fun to work through and see how different players at different rating levels kind of deal with this position. Okay, and it's a blunder for my opponents. My opponent's rated about 1500 in blitz, and I was about 1430 or something. So we have the French, and I play the Monte Carlo variation. Still scratching around. Somebody suggested check out the finger slip variation, which I might look into as well. Okay, and they don't take the pawn. Taking the pawn clearly is not smart here because you're taking away from the centre, you're losing a central pawn, and white's just going to recapture with free development, thank you very much, with the bishop looking at f7, you don't want that. Okay, so out comes the knight. They pin. So here I can develop my bishop. Yes, my knight is pinned, but if he takes, I'm going to take back with a queen, and that's absolutely fine. It means I've got two pieces developed against 0. So they play knight f6, I pin their knight against their queen. They block the pin in this case with the bishop, and I castle. Out comes the other knight, reinforcing the king's knight. So this pin is no longer on with this bishop. So now I decide to push h3. Okay. Now h3 could arguably, weaken the dark squares maybe here, but I'm not too worried about this bishop stepping out. I guess, in theory we could have bishop and queen lining up there. But here they decide to drop the bishop back, because it was a case of either trade it for the knight, which would have definitely been good for white, drop back to the edge, or they'd have to drop back here where they've got no other. I mean, what's the bishop doing there, really? Oh, it is blocking up the e-file a bit. So they move back here. Now, I haven't analysed this game. Now, I drop my bishop back, now breaking the pin with the knight. Don't know if it's a good move or not. They play queen out to c7, and now I jump in with my knight to e5. So I've got a barrage against this bishop, right? I've got two attackers, 1, 2. It's defended only once, and they are looking at my knight and so on and so forth. And the next move is the key move. This is a horrific blunder by my opponent, who has only used 24 seconds out of his allotted 5 minutes up to this point. This is you, Michael Bissonnet, 22, from Canada. Okay, now, Michael castles. Terrible move, right? So this is the point at which we are going to freeze frame, and I would like everybody, if you want to play along, have a look at this board give yourself 20 seconds, 30 seconds, figure out what do you see, and most importantly, what move would you play, okay? So do that, then put in the comments, what is your rapid rating and what's your move, okay? Because I'd be really interested to find out, okay? And then unpause and we'll carry on. All right, so this is carrying on. I hope you've commented your move. Now, so what we're going to look at here, hopefully, is the different levels to which you can read the board as it stands now. What is the board telling you? What can you literally read on the board? And then if you calculate, how deep do you want to go? So what do we see on the board? Well, there's an awful lot of stuff going on. Okay, we have tension between these two pawns, right? I have a barrage against this bishop. It's only defended once, right? The bishop could drop out of that. I'm also attacking this knight, right? Which is defended 3 times, so that's not a biggie. I'm also attacking this pawn which comes with a fork on the rooks, but the pawn is defended by the bishop. And there's also tension between these two knights here, and it's white to move. So there are lots of options. Obviously, this move isn't immediately playable because we just lose the knight. Okay, so we can discount that one. If we take this knight, it's defended 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Defended by 4 pieces, right? But if we take this knight and this knight recaptures, we get this bishop for free, absolutely for free. Or we could take, you know, so if we take the bishop, they take with a knight, then we've got a discovered tension between these two bishops. They're both looking at each other, right? So if we take the bishop, they would take back with the knight. We can take this bishop for free and attack the rook. Rook's then going to come to here, but the knight's defended by a pawn. Right, now, you know, so some of us might just snatch at this, but that, I think, would be a blunder. Right, we lose our advantage. Is there anything else? I mean, this bishop is undefended. This pawn is undefended. This bishop is underdefended. This pawn is also undefended. So, I would like to see what you guys come up with. So the move I played was bishop takes bishop. Still kind of threatening this knight. They respond with a pawn push, because I mean clearly if they just recapture with a knight on the previous move, queen takes and they've just lost more material. But then the problem is this hangs. Okay, so I think that's probably why it has to be the best move. Okay. So with here, so now I take the knight. Okay, so this is curious. So I could take the pawn and then win one of the rooks in exchange for a knight. So that's 5 pieces in return for 3. But if I take the pawn, they take my bishop. Okay. And remember, I've only used 40 seconds up to this point. If I take the pawn, they take the bishop, I take one of the rooks, they recapture, then I've got a pawn and a rook, that's 5 points, and I've given up a bishop and a knight, which is worth 6 points. So that doesn't work, right? So this move now is not on. There are two attackers on this. I mean, black could capture with the knight first. Obviously, black can't capture the queen first because then pawn takes queen. But knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, queen takes pawn, wins a pawn back for black. So I figure, I guess, capture here. That then creates tension between these two knights. It's a really complex, it's a right Mexican standoff, isn't it, this one? So now there's tension between the knights. They recapture with a rook. I then take out the knight. Why do I take out the knight? Because, well, I'm kind of hoping that if they recapture here, I have bishop g4 with a pin that's then unblockable, unstoppable. Okay, so I take the knight. They see that, but the problem is that they lose the rook. Okay, now there's an awful lot of moving parts there. So let us put evaluation and lines on now, and we're going to see what the computer says. Okay, so if you selected bishop takes h5 full marks, that's good, right? So the best move according to the engine, right? So here they're saying that they have to play knight takes e5. The next best moves are g6 and rook h to f8. Interesting, right? g6 doesn't stop the fork. Rook h to f8 does, but both of those are poor. Knight, oh, hang on. No, it's not. They're saying knight takes e5 is the, pardon me. Knight takes e5 is the best move here. Why? When it's still, black is still behind, it is down a piece basically. So if knight takes e5, okay, then the computer says bishop to f4 or bishop takes, hang on, no, it's changing its mind all over the place. There's lots of good moves. D takes e5, win the knight back. It's fine, apparently now. Bishop to f4, pinning the knight on the queen is good. And bishop takes f6 is also good. Okay, it's saying the best move is actually DE. But there you go. I mean, so yeah. So this is the best move, and they should take. And after they take, we eliminate the bishop because that comes for free. Okay. So, but they didn't take in the game. They played this, possibly to try and save the bishop because the bishop's undefended. Really interesting stuff. And then it says, okay, you can do knight takes d7 now, trading off the knights. Wow, interesting one. But what I thought was interesting as well, I just saw that after this move, no, instead of that move, the second suggestion, which is, you know, it's less than the pawn, sorry, between half a pawn and one pawn, less favourable than bishop takes h5, but it's still good, still +2, right, is this move. And that takes me by surprise because you're expecting the pawn to take. But let's work this one through, okay? If we take here, we're attacking the rook. Okay, they can trade bishops. This is the problem though, right? With this move, see the big risk is, yes, you see this bishop is overwhelmed, right? It's got 2 attackers, 1 defender. Okay, problem is this bishop can then capture with a double attack, fork on queen and rook. So this bishop can get out of its predicament by trading itself off, taking the initiative and trading itself off, which is why this is the better move. So if we do this, is it queen takes c6, okay, is best. B takes c6 is second best because obviously the rook's hanging. So they don't like this idea. No, because we capture the bishop. Oh, that's it. Yeah, we're attacking not just the rook, we're attacking the undefended bishop as well. So we've taken out the pawn in front of the king. We're also threatening this bishop. Wow, what a position. What a position. And like I've been saying in the last week or so, there's so much to be learned from any game. You can take any game and just take one position from it even and go into detail on that. You know, you don't need to, you're not going to get better by just banging out loads of games. So this is interesting. So they're saying if queen takes here, then we have to take there, surely. Yeah, then we have to take that. Okay. Wow. So there you go. I thought that would be fun. But if you want to see how the game actually ends, I'm going to refresh the screen so it goes dark green again. Okay. So French Defence Exchange Monte Carlo. Not many French players are going to be familiar with this. Okay, we'll get up to this point. And I take out the bishop. Okay. They push forward. Now it's +4 in white's favour. Okay. Best move is knight takes d7 here. That's what I play. Good. They recapture with rook. It's now at +6 if I find this move, which is the move I find. So attacking the rook, right? I'm attacking the bishop, which is now defended. Wasn't, but is now. And I'm attacking the rook, okay? They have to take here, otherwise it's +9. They fail to do that, and I take the rook. Okay, is that the right move? Let's see, bishop, yeah. And that's +11, okay? So it's all collapse-a-thon from here. Now, excuse me, the rook is now attacking my bishop. Okay, so what do I want to do? Bishop to f6. I'm now hitting the rook, okay? And what am I up in material? I'm up a rook and a knight. So rook slides across here. Best move now is queen takes h5. Good. Very happy with this. And now I'm threatening the h7 pawn. Potentially threatening that one as well, but it's currently guarded by the queen. Okay, they should now play rook g6. Tricky move to find. I didn't like this move. I saw this and I was unafraid. King h1, no worries. Okay. Now the queen comes in. The queen is looking at my bishop. But it's also looking at this pawn, but that's defended, so we're not worried about that. So this is surely the move, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so it's a skewer on the queen, threatening to win the bishop. Queen takes there. Now, here's the problem, right? Now the rook is undefended. So if I was to take here, queen takes rook, my bishop has to go to g1, and then it's pinned. This knight is pinned. This bishop can't go, sorry, this rook can't go anywhere. Tricky one. So how do we get out of this position? We're not worried about queen takes here. Okay, this is hanging because it's attacked and undefended. This is defended, so that's all right. We're not too worried about that bishop. This is a really nice bishop, you know, latched onto this pawn here. What do we do with the rook? Well, you're +8 in material. So queen e2. Saying to this queen, either get out of my space, right, or trade yourself off, in which case you've lost the game. Because also, note, the bishop hangs. So now I'm attacking two pieces, right? Just increasing the tension. Queen moves. I grab the bishop, threatening to come in here with my queen and so on and so forth. So queen goes to there. I now develop my knight. I want to connect my rooks. I don't like this liability of having an undefended rook on the back rank. They push b6. Now I attack the queen, and this knight is now, having been dormant, snoozing in his stable until move 23. Now he comes out. Now I hit the queen, right? g4 now, right? So you have a queen and a rook still with this potential barrage threat, right? Now, if my queen was to dive off here, checkmate, instant checkmate. So I push g4. I just want to nullify black's only attacking idea, right? Which is this barrage down the g-file. So as long as I know that my king is safe from that, the rest of the play should all be mine, okay? They push h5, but is that enough? Is that going to be enough to save black? So what would you play here? Right, since my bishop abandoned this square here, it's a lovely outpost kind of for my knight. It hits the queen and also this pawn here. Queen moves back and I grab the pawn. So now I'm threatening for my queen to come in. Yeah, definitely got options there. Also notice my bishop guards these squares. So the king moves and I decide to capture the pawn and anchor my knight. And now that knight is untouchable. There is nothing that can capture that knight without loss for black, right? These pawns can't do it. This is the only adjacent pawn and it's already in line with the knight, so it can't capture the knight ever. This pawn and this pawn obviously out of the way, and these two pieces are of higher value, so this knight is there for the duration, if it wishes, okay? And here I just throw in the check. I ignore the pawn, okay? There's probably, ooh, why didn't I do this? I'm sure I didn't. No, I moved my rook here to pin this pawn. I'm definitely getting clumsy at the old spotting the quickest checkmates. I'm sure that this move is best. Computer says g3. Hang on, sorry, from this point. Queen a3 check was best. It says king would then come to b5. Okay. Having said that, queen a7 check is mate in 4. Queen a3 check is mate in 3. I guess if they come here, we capture here. So if they come there, queen d3 check. Huh, this is the quickest. Queen d3 check. Right, so he doesn't have this and he doesn't have any of these or that or that. So it forces king a4, and then there's 3 checkmates. Queen b3 is mate. Queen a6 is mate. Wow. And also queen c4. So there's 3 checkmating squares. Okay, need to switch on to that. Okay, so I move the rook across. They defend on that. Now I check with the knight. Check with the pawn because the knight's defended by the queen. And another check. Too many checks, Hunty. Come on. And now we're in danger of repeating ourselves. Another check, and that is actually checkmate. Okay, interesting one. So yeah, I'm keen to know how you guys read that position, because there's so many moving parts. Yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and I might do a review later on. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.